Thanks for joining us today. Today's the best day. Isn't today the best day, Blake?
It's the greatest day ever.
Today's the greatest day we'll ever know, said Billy Corgan. Today is Thursday, November the 9th, 2023. My name's Brian Engelman. That is Blake Walley. TV's Blake Walley, if you will. Follow him on X at TV's Blake Walley and at thenextlevelnews.com. Of course, my name's Brian Engelman, as I said, and this is the Agree to Disagree show on the new American media because the old American media has failed you. Today's show, we are going to get into all of the topics. Well, we're going to talk about most of the things, and yesterday was sort of dominated by the RNC debate. We're going to ask you, who won the RNC debate? Was it Tim Scott or Chris Christie? We're also going to ask if RNC Chair Ronna McDaniel needs to step aside. Also, Nikki Haley, does she make more sense as the GOP nominee, even though Tim Scott and Chris Christie clearly won? Also, moderators for the next debate. Why in the actual fork, I said fork, look at that. I can censor myself from time to time. Why are we rewarding, we being the proverbial we, why is Ronna McDaniel rewarding the fake news pushing NBC with getting a debate to discuss Republican issues? How in the world do they get rewarded for pushing fake news for 4 years of Trump? Oh, yeah, by the way, here, let's go ahead and give you a chance to run the next debate. We're going to discuss that. Also, who should the next moderators be? Should it be Elon? Should it be Rogan? Or should it be Gutfeld? Also, would it be the end of the country if Donald Trump were elected? I don't know. Agree or disagree that Republicans were right to vote for a $300 million FBI headquarters? Where is this? I heard it might be in Mississippi. I heard it might be Arkansas. I heard it might be out of the forking swamp. Wouldn't that be a good idea, perhaps? Out of the swamp? I think it would be a good idea to get it out of the swamp, but apparently maybe not. So we're going to discuss that. Also, should the Nashville cops who exposed what they were trying to hide, yes, they were trying to cover up the anti-white shooter. Ooh, the anti-Christian, anti-white, class-hating Nashville nut job. Should the 7 people who are under investigation for leaking a manifesto, i.e. reporting and explaining to the public the threat of brainwashing by the Democrats and the liberal media, should they be penalized? Also, the Israeli music festival massacre, was that done by friendly fire? All these topics and more on today's episode of the Agree to Disagree show. All right, Blake, starting off, the RNC had their third debate last night, of course. Who won the debate and why was it Tim Scott?
You know, Tim Scott, I think I had a revelation in the beginning of this, and I took some notes on it. I think Tim Scott reminds me of like if Reince Priebus was like in his body, like if they swapped, one of those weird old comedies.
They just watched one of those that was really good. It was Ryan Reynolds and what's his name? Jason Bateman. And that kid Juan that's in everything. It was a funny movie.
Yeah, I mean, this could be funny, but yeah, it's just, in real life, Tim Scott, he's got nothing to really offer. He's a nice guy. I mean, he just puts out he's so corporate. The talking points, there's nothing edgy or interesting or exciting. So I don't see where the appeal there. He's clearly realized where he's overmatched. He doesn't belong up in that group. Nice man, all the best, but no way that he could possibly be president. Wouldn't even trust him as the executive or to make any decisions. Very, beta male, which is nothing wrong with that. But as the president, you gotta have a little more oomph. You gotta be a trusted leader.
Speaking of a little more
Change up. All right.
this movie was called The Change Up. It was from 2011. You know, you've seen these buddy flicks all the time. Yeah, Alan
several of
Arkin,
these. Yeah.
Olivia Wilde, and Leslie Mann. She was the one I was trying to remember the name of. Yeah. You know, he envies his stable life and he envies his wild life. Okay, you know, it's a tired trope, the trading places kind of thing. But it was funny. I laughed out loud at several times. And I just watched it a couple days ago, just accidentally. I was bored and
weird. Well,
watched the
glad
whole
to
thing.
get the reference.
Yes, yeah.
All
It's
right.
interesting you said Reince Priebus jumping into another person's body. So
Yeah, would there be any difference if that was the actual case? Like, oh no, that's actually Reince Priebus. He just like Doctor Who, like he has to take a new body, and there's Tim Scott, and he's talking through him. I mean, would there be any difference?
now I do love me some Doctor Who as well. I think that's one of the best shows that's ever been on TV. I love the time travel stuff. Have you heard the Donald Trump time travel story? Did we talk about this on the last show?
Not on the last show, but I'm sure we've mentioned it before. I know I've covered it before. I don't know if we have in particular.
You've covered it. Well, the theory is that Trump's uncle or his father has the Nikola Tesla time travel documents, and that Trump came from the past to save the future. Posobiec was tweeting about that yesterday.
Yeah, I think he did. But yeah, it's been around for a while. That his uncle got some of the documents that from Nikola Tesla when he passed. It was at the New York hotel or whatever, and they grabbed all that stuff on time travel stuff. And yeah, he's worked on that for a long time. One of the greatest geniuses that ever was on this planet. So wouldn't surprise me.
Well, let's talk about the debate though. Obviously, did Vivek win this one? Well, I guess there's a different way to ask the question, because I don't think you pulled up the clip, but in one of the clips, the crowd was chanting Trump, 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 Trump. They know who the winner is. He's up by 60 points. Like the clear win. Megyn Kelly tweeted it. She's like, you know, the winner again was Trump. Like it's not even close. Trump wins this thing every time they try to throw him under the bus. Trump wins, it seems.
Yeah, he's still strong. He's still a front runner, so he's there. I mean, I would like to see him participate, and he should be, you know, answer some of those questions. I think that was brought up last night, that he should defend some of the, you know, the pros and cons from his own administration. But, you know, clearly he doesn't want to be up there, and he's going to be attacked by, you know, Chris Christie, who's got no other reason to be there. So it's just going to be it would be exciting. So there is one more debate, and Megyn Kelly is, I believe, going to be the moderator, or one of the moderators for the next one. But,
she's going to be one of the MAGA Raiders.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into it and discuss some of the clips from the show yesterday. Let's start with, I don't know. Let's start here. Let's see which one this is. If it goes in order. Okay, here we go.
What a dreamer.
Can you do the full screen for me, or do the double click? I'm on a full screen.
Yeah, we're going to, Brian's off location. My location, of course, has got the Elon satellite, which is great, but it's not very good for uploading. So we might have some difficulty running these clips, but we can certainly discuss. I did take a lot of notes from the debate last night. I watched it in replay. So we'll get through this. So
Mr. Walley, let me turn to you. Please make your case. Why should you be the nominee and not the former president?
I think there's something deeper going on in the Republican Party here, and I am upset about what happened last night. We've become a party of losers at the end of the day. It was a cancer in the Republican establishment. Let's speak the truth. I mean, since Ronna McDaniel took over as chairwoman of the RNC in 2017, we have lost 2018, 2020, 2022, no red wave that never came. We got trounced last night in 2023. And I think that we have to have accountability in our party. For that matter, Ron, if you want to come on stage tonight, you want to look the GOP voters in the eye and tell them you resign, I will yield my time to you. And frankly, look, the people there cheering for losing in the Republican Party. Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party. You think the Democrats, and we've got Kristen Welker here, Do you think the Democrats would actually hire Greg Gutfeld to host a Democratic debate? They wouldn't do it. And so the fact of the matter is, I mean, Christian, I'm going to use this time because this is actually about you in the media and the corrupt media establishment. Ask you, the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that you pushed on this network for years, was that real or was that Hillary Clinton made up disinformation? Answer the question. Go.
Mr. Rama.
This is how we get our country back.
Look at that face, deer in headlights. Oh, here we go.
Yep.
We need accountability because this media rigged the 2016 election. They rigged the 2020 election with the Hunter Biden laptop story.
Mr. Ramaswamy,
and they're going to rig this election.
Your time is up.
Accountability.
Let me turn to
That's how we unite this
Governor
country.
Christie. Why?
Chris Christie, nom 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 nom.
Yep.
Well, I mean, Vivek came in swinging, came in hot. What'd you make of that first clip?
Oh, I love it. That set the tone for the whole night. Yeah, it was great. Because you're kind of like, oh, we're going to watch another Republican debate. And then, boom. Yeah, come in swinging. Lester Holt kept trying to, change the subject, try to stall. Switch it. Yeah, the moderators were in trouble. And it was great. And it was good to see that, turn the tables on them. And I would love to see all of those, media people, not necessarily Hugh, but I mean, everybody be held accountable for all the stuff that they pushed, all the lies from, the Russian collusion stuff or the Hunter laptop or any number of the different scandals that they covered up for Obama or Biden. And, pushed multiple hoaxes on the people. They should be held accountable. They're supposed to be our trusted fourth estate. They have let us down. And Lester Holt is definitely up there for that. And I'd like to see, Maddow, a lot of people. So it's great to see Vivek call them out directly and watch them squirm.
Yeah, they definitely did nothing to earn a debate on NBC at all after the way that they misrepresented and framed Trump for 5 or 6 straight years. Let's not forget the FISA warrants based on fake Russian dossiers paid for by Hillary Clinton and the DNC, and Fusion GPS and Perkins Coie. Like, that was the beginning of it, and then it continued into the Russian collusion. It turned into insurrection. I mean, they impeached Trump for calling out the corruption in Ukraine, the place that has pushed us to the brink of World War III. They actually impeached Trump for what they're doing. All the lies that NBC has pushed. And NBC is the most deep state of the deep statey networks that there are. That one, MSDNC, as Rush used to call it, that network of all of them, Blake, has been... Okay, if we were giving out a gold, silver, and a bronze medal, Blake, who would get the award for the most deep statey fake news that's been pushed since Trump came on the scene, 6-7 years ago, 8 years ago?
Yeah, I guess, MSNBC followed by NBC. Can we put them together?
Or yeah, those can be the same. And that's NBC Universal as well. Like, that's, yeah.
And of course, CNN would be the silver.
Right.
I don't know who we give the bronze to. There's many.
Fox News isn't far behind with Chris Wallace pushing the Fine People hoax.
Yeah,
covering up for the Hunter Biden laptop. I mean, he was just as bad as having a NBC debate themselves.
Let's call Fox bronze. Yeah, good call. Because I didn't see him play a lot of the Vivek clips last night. I know I had Fox News on. The Gutfeld show, but that's pre-recorded. But I mean, after that, I don't remember. I mean, there was some, great moments from that. And it was like, all they talked about was Nikki Haley. Like nobody else exists. So they really have their favorites, her, Ronnie D.
Yeah, but, Ronnie D. Little Ronnie D. Well, there's a good clip coming up about Ronnie D, which is incredible. You sent me 3 clips, but 2 of them were the same, it appeared. One was essentially Russell Brand repeating that. It was that last clip, just condensed a little bit. Do you want to buzz through your notes? Give us some of the moments, because I got this one here when we get up to Dick Cheney. Well, that's my last clip that I'm going to play. So,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Vivek came out swinging. That kind of stole the show. Nikki Haley answered the same question right after, but I think she was answering incorrectly. She was answering the question as, why is she different than Trump? But she was asking, like, why is she different than Biden? I think that's how she answered it. She was like, I think you have to look at the debt, people living paycheck to paycheck, people struggling to pay, families struggling with diapers and utilities. Or it's talking about the transparency in the classroom, border crime, used to be right on Ukraine. But now he's trying to be friendly again. So I don't know who she's referencing. We can't live in the past. Military needs to know we have their back. I mean, it doesn't seem to really apply to Trump in any way. Things were great under Trump. I think America was becoming great again, and we were closing the border, and people were thriving again and making more money. So it didn't really make any sense, her response. So I think she fumbled that one right out of the gate. And I really didn't. There's only one thing I really agreed with her. We'll get to that part. But it was interesting. And then, of course, you got Lester Holt, scolding the crowd because they were, getting excited. It was like, hey, everybody's having a good time. They're cheering for their candidates when they're making their responses. And then Lester's got to throw cold water all the time. Several times that he interrupted just to be kind of a grumpy jerk, I thought. So, silencing the crowd so people can talk. Vivek destroyed, called out the loser GOP, directly attacks moderators, said it should be Tucker, Rogan, Elon, calls out NBC for the fake Russian collusion, election interference, Hunter laptop, and then Lester had to basically, it's like tapping out, getting submission. He has to intervene. I hope, that's what I wrote. I hope Lester Holt and all the rest of the paid hacks and legacy media get put on trial and have to answer, be held to account. They got the deer in the headlights, as you called correctly, Brian, because they what are they going to say? Yeah, we did. We colluded to, make this stuff up about Russia. They know what they did. They know they had no evidence. They know it was a fishing expedition. They know they just wanted to take down Trump. Then Chris Christie, we responded by thinking Putin is going to invade Poland. I thought that was curious. Yeah, it seems like Christie's ready to get involved into any war that's potentially available because America has to be the leader. We've got to police the world, I suppose. So I thought that was a terrible answer. Some of this is a little bit disorganized, but it does get into a break it down on the issues. But I just took a bunch of notes as I saw it. Brian, did you watch it live?
I'm picking up the pieces.
Okay.
Yeah.
I watched it on replay at 1.5 speed and took a bunch of chicken scratch notes.
Well, while this was happening, I'm getting an echo here. That's an interesting thing. But yeah, while this was happening, of course, Donald Trump was having his own speech. This is just a quick.
Here, who are trying to destroy it every day simply because they're scared of him.
Just a quick reminder. Trump's packing the crowd in anytime he goes and speaks. He doesn't need the RNC. They need him. That's the takeaway that you don't want to lose sight of. He is more popular than ever, and no matter what they do to try to steal the thunder away from President Trump, it's not working. Like I said, Megyn Kelly said as such that Trump won this again, to paraphrase. But yeah, okay.
Might have won, but Vivek, man, he is a star in the making. He did so good. Like I'd struggle. I've been the RFK Jr. Trump. Obviously, I'd lean a little more Trump than RFK Jr. But man, Vivek, he's so impressive every time. And last night he stole the show, changed the. I hope a lot of people got to see that because they need to see that, and he needs somebody who's an outsider who's not afraid to and just absolutely poke the establishment because a lot of people don't get to hear stuff like that on TV. They control everything. So he has to be on live TV where you can call out the lying legacy media in the way that he did. So, but where was the average liberal at home watching the Republican debate? Unlikely. So, but they need to see that stuff.
That's true. And I guess that is the only, yeah, it's like, why would you even reward NBC by giving them a debate? It's like, well, I guess that is theoretically a chance to cross over and talk to their brainwashed voters. But I mean, how much good does that even do? I don't know. That's up for debate. But okay, well, I do have this other highlight, probably the highlight of I mean, they were both so good. I have this other clip. Is there anything else you wanted to buzz through with notes on the debate? Anything stand out that you want to mention before?
I think none on that particular issue. I do have their takes on Israel, or whether it's what to do about Ukraine. There was some good stuff in there, and of course, a little TikTok. Election losses, the closing arguments. It was really
the TikTok was a good one. The TikTok was a good back and forth with Vivek and Haley, right?
Yep, Neocon Nikki.
So she was complaining. Do you remember? You want to set that up for us?
If you got the clip, yeah, you can run.
I don't have that clip. I have the ones that you sent, but Haley was complaining that Vivek was using TikTok, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm young." And that's I have tons of viewers here, and that's how you reach out to the young generation. Also, by the way, that's the same platform that your daughter has a very prominent account on. I mean, it was just like, it was just perfect. Just perfect. Like, shut up, old lady. You old warmongering hag. Oh,
yeah, he roasted her pretty good. And, yeah, it was well-deserved. She needs to be exposed. Because she is clearly compromised, and he spelled that out pretty efficiently. One of the questions was about TikTok, and Chris Christie was just saying, polluting, poisoning minds, China pushing authoritarianism or anti-Semitism in the algorithms. That's debatable, but yes, they can certainly choose what they can put in front of people, and they do get different things in different countries. And so they can kind of dumb down Americans while they try to push, better, more quality content on their own people. And then Ronnie D followed that up. Yes, he was very strong against, CCP and, also about polluting minds. We win. We got to win the culture war in China, and that should be easy to do if we could come to some kind of agreement, and not the divided states, but the United States again. And then Vivek mentioned, yes, Nikki, how she made fun of me the last time. But then he mentioned that her daughter used it, and that young people use it, and that's why it was effective. Not that he was, for it or anything, but he's trying to get his message across, and he's trying to appeal to the younger voters. And I think that's a great strategy. And then Nikki Haley just like, oh, you're just scum. That's really all she could say. So she got kind of busted there. Yeah, like, oh yeah, I guess technically your daughter does use it. So it's a little weird.
Well, he called her RC Cola, and he's like, I'm Pepsi. I'm part of the hip generation. I'm young and hip, and you're old and stale. You're scum. How dare you mention what my family's doing? Yeah.
She's being a hypocrite.
Don't lecture us. Like your daughter's using TikTok. Well,
No, I was gonna say, in that first debate, she couldn't wait to make that talking point to try to smear him for the old talking point of getting rid of TikTok, which is debatable. Maybe they should, if it's spying on Americans and dumbing us down, then maybe we should get rid of it.
Well, remember, there's a second part to that Scott Adams routinely references. It's not so much that they're feeding us drivel and making us dumb, which they are. And it's not so much that, what was the other point you made about TikTok? That they're spying on us. Okay, well, every app that we have is spying on us. Okay. But there's the heat button. You press an issue and it raises everything up in the algorithm, and it turns this one into a radioactive story. See George Floyd. See anything that's going to make Americans turn on Americans. They have the ability to give you the rage bait, just the injection to freebase some rage. What's Dreamer saying? He believes the rules in Nikki world are you're not allowed to comment on their hypocrisy in any way. That shook her, apparently. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let her get shook. She deserves to be shaken.
Yeah, she's completely bought and paid for. She's dangerous for this country. She does not belong there.
He loves her.
Yeah, I'd love to see her in the next debate. I mean, that could be another issue we should talk about, is who should drop out and who should continue. I'd like to see Nikki continue, just because so she can be exposed like that. And it's nice to see this kind of divide with the the neocons and the MAGA patriot Republicans.
So I guess since we are there, Nikki Haley, Blake, agree or disagree, she makes more sense as the GOP nominee.
Maybe part of the old guard. Maybe if this was 2008 again, maybe she would be. She may have been a better candidate than
Romney, McCain.
Yeah, but she works for the military contractors, Raytheon or whatever. She sits on the board of Boeing. Yeah, Vivek was great, pointing that all out, and that she was in debt, bankrupt, whatever, not in good financial condition until she made all these deals with the military contractors. And so she knows she's bought and paid for. She's a deep state asset. Yeah, that's somebody that the neocons, the GOP, and the military wants to be the president, but she's dangerous for the rest of us.
The military-industrial complex. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. We were warned by Eisenhower, of course. Okay, so no, she does not make sense for that. I guess to circle back, I mean, we talked about this, Blake, that the moderators for the next debate should be Rogan and Musk and Gutfeld.
Carlson, Gutfeld. Well, Gutfeld, I think, in reference to he should be up there in the Democratic debate. Yeah, that would be hilarious, and those people should squirm a little. I don't remember when they've actually put somebody up there against the Democrats that would actually challenge them on some of the issues, and they should. But I don't think they would ever allow that. But yeah, it's a great point by Vivek just to bring that up. And yeah, look, I mean, Lester Holt, and Hugh Hewitt's a very nice guy, and we met him in Cleveland. Good guy, but yes, he's a dinosaur. It's old GOP. It's clearly old guard, and he's not the fresh MAGA type that we need going forward. And it just doesn't translate well. And yes, he looks old and out of touch up there. But that's like the nice, sanitized, controlled corporate Republican that NBC feels comfortable putting up there. And so that's why he was there, and he kind of asked, fairly soft questions, in my opinion. But again, nice guy. He's a good guy.
Well, I liked his show. I used to listen to him on drive time when I'd be traversing through Los Angeles. I liked the LA market. Some of the channels out there. I'd listen to Hugh Hewitt, listen to Rush. I'd listen to Larry Elder. I'd listen to. I mean, the LA market had some interesting voices. I've kind of disconnected from all of that for a lot of years now, but. Yeah, I mean, he is what he is. It's probably a GOP establishment kind of voice. He does good stuff for what it is that he does, but is that stuff being embraced by the GOP voter? Or is Trump winning this thing in a landslide, a friggin' landslide? So aside from Trump, obviously we had this. This was the second clip. I thought this was fantastically crafted, fantastically delivered. I think it was excellent on all accounts. We'll just kind of wait, why can't I full screen? There we go. I want to do picture in picture. But this is Vivek with another zinger.
The fact of the matter is the Republican Party is not that much better. You have the likes of Nikki Haley, who stepped down from her time at the UN. Bankrupt or in debt was her family. Then she becomes a military contractor. She joins the board of Boeing and otherwise, and is now a multimillionaire. So I think that's wrong when Republicans do it or Democrats do it. That's the choice we face. Do you want a leader from a different generation who's going to put this country first? Or do you want Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels?
All right, Mr.
In which case
Ramaswamy.
we've got two of them on stage.
Ramaswamy, thank you. Senator Scott.
The fact of the matter is,
Lester Holt stepped on his line, but it was pretty great. Let me play that one last.
Yeah, he kept jumping in to intervene.
Yeah, the Chris Wallace
tapping out. Yeah,
it's the worst type of moderator.
first, or do you want Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels?
All right, Mr.
In which case, we've got two of them on stage tonight.
Ramaswamy, thank you.
In which case, we've
Senator
got
Scott.
two of
The
them
fact of the
on
matter-
stage tonight. Talking, of course, about little Ronnie D in his loafers, his light in the loafers, shoes, and Nikki Haley. Blake, that was a pretty great line, even though Lester did what he could to ruin it.
Ruthless, genius. Yes, it was fantastic. And notice how you didn't see Nikki Haley raise her hand and stand up for herself. All she said was what there were was ammunition or something. But clearly she wasn't going to say, hey, no, I made money the right way. I didn't take any money from military contractors. I was only volunteering my time with the Boeing or whatever. No, she knows she was dead to rights, and she knew it. You saw the look on her face. She got exposed. And that's why I think she belongs in another debate, because I want to see more highlights like that she needs to be made an example of. She might think she's smart and she's the right one, but I think she's just insulated. She is a deep state puppet and very dangerous for this country. What
did that even mean, they're bullets? I saw Megyn Kelly was like, that doesn't even make sense. I mean,
it was stupid. She had nothing to say. That's all she could, muster, because she wasn't prepared to get, shellacked like that on live TV. That wasn't one of the ones that she was prepared for. She wasn't prepared for comeback zingers in case they exposed her, and she was clearly exposed. And she's a very compromised candidate. So you got to know: is she running the show? Is these are her own ideas, or are they her handlers behind the scenes? The military contractors that are telling her what to say because they want their candidate in there.
Yeah. Dreamer says it right. He's like, oof, that face. He wants to vanquish him. Yes. And Ronnie D didn't respond, with his 3-inch heels.
Yeah.
That was so funny. Oh, that was great writing. You saw Nikki Haley, like, if they're bullets, it's like, okay, Donald Duck. The worst comeback lines, the worst zingers ever belong to these stale neocons, these warmongering, bought and paid for, non-MAGA neocons. Good grief, good riddance. To both of them. To all of them, really. Okay, well, this is something, we started off because that's pretty much how Vivek came out of the gate declaring that RNC Chair Ronna McDaniel needs to resign. There were several states that held elections, held votes on Tuesday, and the Republicans got smoked everywhere. And you're going, who votes for Democrats? Who could look at what we have as our leadership, air quotes, in Washington and go, we need more of that. We need more of that. I guess some of these issues, I think in every state that abortions come up, it's just been overwhelmingly to the point where I believe the Ohio law says up to and including, but not limited to. So they voted to a literal wide open, open-ended, non-defined, everything goes option. That's how much people that shows the extent that people were turned off by what the Supreme Court did with overturning Roe versus Wade and said, yeah, kick it back to the states. It's a states issue. It's a local issue. Everywhere it's come up, they're like, yeah, get out of here with that. It is a losing issue, big time. But Vivek was right to call out Ronna McDaniel. All of these losses, where were the red waves? Ever since you came in, we've been doing nothing but losing. Like, are you to the point like insinuating? Are you working for the other team? So, what do you think about Ronna McDaniel, Blake? Should she resign? Agree or disagree that she needs to go?
I don't know that much about her, but clearly, yeah, she's got to go. And the old guard, this clearly has to be purged from the party if they want to go forward. They are just interested in staying there and making money, and that's how they make money off their base, is from the religious conservatives and fighting for abortion rights, which is a toxic issue. Yeah, it's a horrible thing. It's a sad part of our culture, but you're going to have to allow it, because that's the one thing. It's the one issue that really fires up Democrats to turn out and vote, is when you get some radical conservative that could say all the the right things, but then be like, oh, and then furthermore, I think abortion should be limited to 30 days or whatever, or no, there should be strictly no abortions. That's wrong. And then that will fire up the Democrats, and then those Republicans will continue to lose. I've seen it time and time again. And if they don't come down, if the Republicans really want to win, they need to come down about like 20-25% on abortion and Israel. And then you can probably start getting people from across the aisle to join. And we can start bringing America together. But that is a losing issue. And they lost again. They screwed us last time, and they're going to do it again in 2024 if they don't back off from their strict, religious, fundamentalist religious abortion views. So,
yeah, I saw a very, very, very disturbing video showing exactly how a child is ripped out of the womb and sliced into pieces. I wish I could unwatch that. My God, it's
barbaric. It's awful. It's a horrible reflection of humanity that we do that. However, it's just the state that we are in right now, and people freak out. Like they think, rape babies. Oh, women's going to get raped, and they're not going to be allowed to have an abortion because the fundamentalist Republican won't let you. And so that's terrifying, and I understand it. And it's different. It's a wider issue because we have an adoption. We have plenty of people ready to adopt. So technically we could keep these babies in some way, but I mean, we've had data from the past where, like, Romania or some of these countries, or even us in the past, a lot of the unwanted babies end up in orphanages and end up statistically more likely to leave a life of crime. A lot of the criminals class, they come from that because they're unwanted children. Even though, we can't kill it. It's got a right to exist. But if it doesn't find a right home in a good environment, then the chances are it's not going to grow up to be a healthy adult. So I don't know. It's a complex issue, but Republicans are going to have to suck it up and just let it go if they want to win these elections, or they're going to keep losing it. And so Vivek's right. They got to call it out, and they have to put somebody in there who's more common sense, who's more, dare I say, progressive on that particular issue anyway. So the conservatives are going to be stuck in the past, and they are not going to be accepted by the younger liberals.
Well, Ohio also had a ballot, so that was issue 1, and then issue 2 was recreational marijuana, which passed overwhelmingly as well. And President Trump, he's on the wrong side of both of those. As Ohio goes, the nation goes. I mean, I don't know the exact stats, but I believe no Republicans ever won the presidency without carrying Ohio. So, we're talking about out of touch. Trump is the opposite of what they said on issue 1 and issue 2. It's something to really keep an eye on. And if you want to personally be conservative, if you want to personally be pro-life, if you personally want to be straight edge, and you think the devil's lettuce is worse than Jack Daniels, or if you think it's all just a devil's gateway to, bad decisions, and let's face it, Blake, you and I, we've lived in Vegas, Los Angeles, we've been bartenders. I've been in a rock and roll band. Like, there's nothing we haven't seen or in some cases done. Maybe going straight edge is a better option to live your life. I'm not going to dispute that. But clearly the people are saying this needs to be libertarian. You do you, we'll do us. Just, we want to do what we want to do. And to all of the people out there that are so set back, so forlorn and deflated. I know a ton of people. Just because issue 1, the abortion thing, passed quasi overwhelmingly in Ohio, that doesn't mean that the 40% of the people that were trumped, that were overruled in this. I mean, these people are just sad, deflated, beyond belief, really disgusted with what's going on. We've talked about this national divorce where it's like, how do we coexist if we can't even agree on some of the basic tenets of what a society is supposed to look like? I heard it said, and it's ghoulish. It's pretty ghoulish. But look, if we're gonna be blunt, if you have a lot of the right wing saying no abortions for anyone, and that's just abhorrent, and they have their opinions, and the left is like, yeah, abortions for everybody, and it's no big deal. I can't wait to become a trans person so I can have an abortion. You hear the craziest things coming out of the pro-abortionists, but to any of the Republicans or the conservatives or the people leaning that way on the pro-life side, I know it sucks to you that didn't pass, but on the bright side, ghoulishly, it does mean there will be fewer future Democrats. So, grain of salt. I don't know. It's a tough one. I personally think, the way to rule a nation is to be fiscally conservative. Just be careful with what you're spending. Don't be reckless. I hate the reckless spending from both sides. Be fiscally conservative. Be socially libertarian. Let people do what they're going to do as long as it's not harming someone else. And damn it, that's where the abortion thing really changes, because that's not yourself. That's a third party that you're harming. I get it. And capitalist, just, you got to be capitalist. So it's a tough one, man. We're at a crossroads as a nation, Blake. We're definitely hitting it. But Ronna McDaniel, under her leadership, and Trump endorsed Ronna McDaniel as well. So, there's no such thing as a perfect political candidate. I was very reluctant to back Trump in 2016. I was worried that he's going to be off the cuff. He was going to be dangerous and make some big boneheaded mistakes. And, it was a peaceful time. It was low energy time. It was fueling up the strategic energy reserves. It was rebuilding the military, peace through strength. Definitely on the global stage, resetting how we were getting taken advantage of, and trade deal after trade deal. I liked a lot of what he brought to the table. So I am not reluctant in pulling for him in 2020 by any means. 2024 by any means is what I meant to say. But Ronna McDaniel, backing her, abortion, weed. My God, if you just say, hey, this needs to be federally, this has to end. It's over. Just like we had to repeal prohibition. Clearly, the people have spoken. People are smoking fewer and fewer cigarettes. They're more and more into weed. They're more into weed than they are alcohol. I mean, Blake, as a bartender, how many fights did you break up from two stoners?
0.
How many fights did you have to get involved with two drunks? I mean, how often did you see that?
Every day. I was a Vegas bartender. It's 24 hours, and sometimes it was me. I've 90% of probably the stupid, dumbest things I've ever done in my life, or when I was blackout drunk, stumbling around Vegas or what have you. Alcohol will make you make dumb decisions, and you might not even be aware of it until the next day. It's awful. I think you can say 75% of serious crime is has one of the people involved, drinking. So alcohol does a lot of destruction. There's some good. Yeah, you can go to weddings, loosen up. You can, have fun. You can socialize. But I mean, there is a very much a dark side to it, and it causes a lot of problems.
And if we can go through prohibition and then realize this was a bad idea, you make the Al Capones and you make the Kennedys, the rum runners, making them wealthy billionaires, and okay, well, this clearly didn't work. All the bathtub gin and the Al Capone, it just a weird time. And they didn't get rid of that amendment. They kept it in there to show we put it in and we took it out. Well, it's time to do that for weed. It just is. Anything should not be consumed excessively, recklessly, but clearly the public is ready for this. And if President Trump I said it in 2020, if he would have just come out and said, look, we're going to decriminalize this nationwide. I'm not for it. I'm straight edge. I've never taken a drink. I've never puffed a joint, clearly. But I know what the people are, this would be good for the nation. He would have, that would have, it's sitting on the table for somebody to just claim it and just say, this has to happen nationwide, and have a major candidate come out and say it. We get the Green Party or the Libertarians sometimes. I mean, they poll 1%, 1.5%, 2%. You know, these aren't really viable. We talk about abortion and that baby's not viable. I like Bill Burr's definition of it. You remember on Bill Burr's recent comedy sketch? He says,
yeah, the Red Rock. He did a good job of addressing that. Yes,
he really did. He just said, you know, he's pretty pro-choice, and you know, kind of let people do what they're gonna do. But then it's kind of like, well, you know, I mixed up some cake batter and put it in the tin and set it inside the 350-degree oven and closed it. And I was excited for some birthday cake. And you come walking in, open up the door, and launch it across the floor. You go, hey, that was my birthday cake. Like, well, it wasn't a birthday cake yet. Well, it was gonna be until you did what you just did. You know, so, I mean, and just that's just so poignant. Comics are so good at just taking complex issues and distilling them down to that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out, Blake. You know, there really aren't major parties that are calling for the decriminalization of it, but the states are, and Ohio definitely did. Ohio, every time abortion's up, they're siding with it. So I mean, careful what you wish for. You know, I kind of prefer libertarian leadership in these types of issues. Just no need to criminalize, no need to ban, and if we want to rally against it and never do it, then fine. Nobody's forcing you to. But it really is a pushy type of government that wants to kind of say what you can and cannot do, as abhorrent as it is. I don't know.
I just drive me crazy. Yeah, because I was so like anti-conservative and, you know, lifelong liberal. That was one of those stupid issues. Yeah, like who are these like out of touch old neocons to tell me, you know, I can't smoke marijuana or whatever? And they've never even smoked marijuana in their entire life. They don't know anything about it, but they just want to make sure that it's illegal because they said so. Like, it never made sense to me. So I could just never get on board with their philosophy. But then, you know, things did change. And then we had a libertarian, Ron Paul, as a Republican, and that kind of changed things. And it kind of got me on board with the new wave of the Republican Party, because now I can't really fit in with the leftists. But I'm still kind of politically homeless. There is no real party that I belong to, because there is no perfect candidate that I can fit in with all the issues. But we're close, and there are some good candidates this time. So I'm happy about that, but we shall see if we even have an election.
You keep saying that. We have to have an election.
If we're in a major state of war, they could suspend that stuff.
No, we need an election even more so if we're in war. No, we're not putting that out there. We're not going to allow that. That's not on the table. That is nothing we're going to accept. We will walk through burning, through blood and bone, as Norm Macdonald said. He walked through blood and bone on 9/11 looking for his brother. Now, of course, he was in northern Canada, but
digging through those mailboxes to find all of the mail-in ballots.
No mail-in. You walk to the place, a paper ballot, call it a day. That's it.
People just vote online. There'd be no record of anything.
Right. No, we're not going to do that, Blake. We're going to have an election. There is no way we're going to accept what Zelensky's trying to do. Keep suspending elections, and Trudeau trying to work tricks to change the term lengths and when the votes are going to be. You know, these tyrants, they love trying to get rid of elections. No thanks. We need to vote even harder if that's the case. Okay, next topic. Alrighty.
Stick within the debates. Are we sticking into the debate subjects?
We're done. Do you have any more?
Oh, we're done. Because you just mentioned the Ukraine and the suspension of the elections, but I thought there was at least two more highlights from the debate, and one of them was on the Ukraine when Vivek actually referred to Zelensky as let me see if I can pull it up. Was it a glorified Nazi? I don't know if I even have the exact quote. But they did mention that. What should we do about Ukraine? And let's see if I can. Tim Scott, every day we get closer to the degradation of the Russian military. That was like a terrible. He kept repeating that, like, oh, okay, we'll just keep giving them weapons, and we'll just these people as cannon fodder, and then we're just slowly degrading them, and that's like that's a good thing. So that was pretty ridiculous. Then he wanted to, basically give Israel whatever they wanted, $14 billion, and stand shoulder to shoulder. What else did he say? Oh, if I was if I was in charge, we'd be looking at it, the accounting to decide whether we'd give them more money. And if the people decide, yeah, maybe we got to keep our NATO allies safe. Like just the watered down corporate version. But then Vivek said he was enjoying watching the Ukraine Hawks tiptoe back, and that he says unwound into a disaster. Ukraine is not a paragon of democracy. There's no opposition, only state media, no elections, and they're celebrating a Nazi in its ranks, a comedian in cargo pants.
Wow, a comedian in cargo pants. That's a great line. I can see that. Ooh, man, he's good. His writers are good. So this is from Front News Ukraine, frontnews.eu. Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy called Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky a Nazi during a debate. His campaign is currently trying to clarify the wording of this statement, The Hill reports. During the debate, Ramaswamy noted that in his opinion, Ukraine is not an illustration of democracy. Quote, this is a country that has banned 11 opposition parties. It has merged all media into one state television. This is not democratic. It has threatened not to hold elections this year if the U.S. does not provide more money. This is not democratic. They glorified a Nazi in their ranks, a comedian in cargo pants, a man named Zelensky. This is not democratic. After the debate, representatives of Ramaswamy's campaign headquarters said that his statements about Nazis did not apply to Zelensky. According to them, Ramaswamy is rather referring to an incident in the Canadian Parliament related to the Ukrainian-Canadian veteran Yaroslav Hunko, a former member of the SS Galicia division. So yeah, that was kind of the
that
gist.
was embarrassing, but we do know that those are an Azov Nazi battalion. That is the primary fighting force they have over there in Ukraine.
Well, how dare we say the word that Facebook is going to ban our video from saying these ridiculous goofballs anytime you talk about what happened in 1930s Germany. I know, Styx Hexenhammer and Tim Pool, they dance around it and use different words. This is not a world I can allow myself to live in. You want to ban it because we're talking about what happened? I don't know what to say. I don't care anymore about what YouTube is going to do or what Facebook is going to take offline. There's context, there's AI bots, and then there's bullshit bans. So, yeah, I read the quotes. I didn't have anything to say about it. I'm not praising or glorifying anything, damn it. I'm covering the news, discussing.
Right. Well, even the Daily Beast has been forced to announce that, yes, they're neo-Nazis. There's Azov battalions, so that's just a fact. They can't.
So does the Daily Beast get censored off of YouTube? Do they get strikes on their account? Do they get banned off of Facebook and they pull down their latest video? No. They do it to us because we're competing for the advertising dollars with the four major mega corporations of media. Well, screw them. I held back again. I'm trying to be better about my swearing, Blake. I'm trying to tone it down.
All right, well screw Nikki Haley too, because when she was asked about Ukraine, she said that Putin and Xi are salivating by having Vivek as the president potentially. She said 500,000 people have died because of Putin, and Ukraine is a freedom-loving, pro-American country fighting for its democracy.
Wow.
No. And here's the thing: they could have let those regions go. No, and Chris Christie, as I mentioned before, saying Russia's going to take over Poland, a completely different culture and a completely different language. No, he only wants those certain areas on the east and the south that are pro-Russian. That's it. That we could have ended this war a long time ago. We could have just had a democratic. If they really cared about democracy, then let those people who vote, like 90% of the people in Crimea that have voted, we want to be part of Russia. And no, you got to force it. You got to be part of Ukraine. No. And then they treat them like shit.
Ukraine is one of the most corrupt countries on planet Earth, as evidenced by Burisma, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, impeaching Trump for mentioning all the corruption over there in Ukraine. Is perfect phone call. Give me a break. But on that note, Blake, it's not like the United States would allow Mexico to just take California. We wouldn't let Washington just get absolved into Trudeau's Canada.
me throw you a hypothetical. What if like San Diego, Chula Vista, what if they were like 90% Hispanic and they were completely in a culture from Mexico and they didn't want to be part of the United States anymore? Would we force them to, or would we say, hey, you guys are, Mexican and you're part of that culture and we've never really embraced the USA and it's just not a good fit? Would we allow them to have it? I mean, it'd probably be a struggle there too. But
I mean, we literally have a New Mexico in the American Southwest as well. Are we just going to let that become a part of Mexico as well? No.
I don't know, but we would take over Tijuana. But I mean, if Tijuana was 90% like pro-American and they all spoke perfect English, and that was part of their culture, I don't know. It's kind of one of those things where it wasn't a good fit. And those places would rather be a part of Russia, and we should allow them. And if they voted for it, let it happen. But no, NATO's got to get involved. And yeah, the neocons and Nikki Haley, and they are the reason that this war happened. And everything they said about Putin was BS. It wasn't just some evil thing. No, he was trying to liberate those people that were part of the Russian Empire and that would rather be with him. So that was the right move. Nobody wanted to see it, but this is NATO's fault. They wasted the money. They did this, not Putin. So anyway.
Well, there we go. The comedian in cargo pants. I can't get that image out of it. When you have a way with words, I'm seeing two candidates in 3-inch heels. Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels. I'm just seeing it. Little Ronnie D. I mean, that was the baseball bat to the knee right there. That was brutal. I mean, it was like you're outside and at recess and two kids are going at it, and just out of nowhere spins and pops you in the face. Like Ronnie D had nothing to do with that conversation, and then Vivek was like, "Bam, 3-inch heels." Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels. We got two of them on stage today. Oh, it was so good.
That was
cargo pants.
He nailed it. And then just the one final thing that I'll say that was also the controversial was when he was making his closing arguments, was when he basically called what he was saying, like, what does he bring to the table or whatever, uniting the country. That where's a war between people that love this country and hate the United States. No special interests, shutting down the deep state, keeping us out of World War III. And then he called out directly the Democrats, message of the Democrat, and the farce that Joe Biden is the nominee. He's not a president. He is a puppet for the managerial class. And they need to step up and be honest and the candidacy now, and then just bring up whoever they want. Newsom, Gavin Newsom, or Michelle Obama, or whoever this, and stop. So I thought that was great. And the leftists are all freaking out and pretending like, yeah, Joe Biden is a real candidate. We all know. We all see him fading. So just stop the charade. I think it was great that he called that out. I didn't see anything like that from any of the other candidates. So Vivek, yeah, he nailed it last night. So that was great to see. Totally worth watching. And yes, a star is born. And if he can't be president, then he needs to be, maybe the new leader of the GOP or something. Get rid of, Ronna McDaniel, whatever.
Yeah.
Say good night.
The thing that Trump did so well, he said what we were all thinking. And sometimes we didn't know we were thinking it until someone else said it. And how many times, Blake, over and over, that was Trump. He would say something, it would totally reframe the situation. You go, oh, yeah. You're damn right about that. All right. I've always felt that way. I didn't that's the first time I've heard it. And like Vivek, he's Scott Adams, once again, I don't listen to him every day, but I do enjoy his shows. They're good. He has a concept of free money. He brings this up quite often with politicians, where he'll say, it takes a unique candidate. Everybody could be on a debate stage, blah, 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 blah. But it's the exceptional candidate that sees a pile of free money sitting there, and they walk over and just take it. They bend down on the ground and they pick up a pile of free money. It's just the first person that can identify free money. And so, Vivek, the way he called out Ronna McDaniel. Of course, we're all saying it. This is the most ridiculous backward leadership, air quotes, we've seen with Biden and the Obama puppet masters we've ever seen in our lifetimes. Sit back since Jimmy Carter. Free money. Vivek just at the end there saying, we all know Biden isn't your candidate. Put up who your candidate's gonna be. Oh my gosh, free money. The first person to say it gets credit for like saying it on a national stage. That was one of them. He's seems to be a king of finding free money. So he's definitely got the political chops, man. He's definitely earned his keep, and I'm glad. Yeah, I'm against these debates, Blake. It's time to rally around President Trump. He's up 60 points. Give me a break. But by keeping the debates, as you've said, it would be nice to hear some answers from President Trump. I agree. But on the flip side, they're doing nothing to protect and defend him. They're throwing him to the wolves. They want him indicted. They want him off of the ballot. The GOP establishment hates their frontrunner. Which means they hate you, the viewer, the listener, the supporter. They can't stand you. So, it is a mixed bag, Blake. I get where the appeal comes from. The appeal is you get a chance for like a Vivek to rise and shine. You finally get to flick Lego hair, Mike Pence off of the debate stage. Finally, that was good. They flubbed it by not putting Larry Elder up. I wish they'd be just rallying and circling the wagons to protect the women and children on the inside while they fight off the invasion of the Democrats trying to destroy Trump. But, you get a couple moments that rise out of this. It's interesting to watch the lying legacy media. Really, have they given up, Blake? Do you think they've given up on little Ronnie D? Have they all moved all in on Haley, or do you think it's a Haley little Ronnie D co-ticket that they're going to accept as the rhino GOP candidate when they try to jettison Trump?
Yeah, I think that's the play, or just one or the other. I don't know if they would actually be a part of the ticket. I think they're both too alpha. Again, we have the alpha dilemma again, which is why Ronnie D could never work under Trump. And it's the same thing. You can't have two alphas together on the same ticket. And so Nikki would just be resentful if she wasn't number one. And same with Ronnie D. Like if they were not the top, I don't think they're going to want to do VP for the other one.
Now, Vivek did say that he's not interested in a VP role. Now, maybe that would change if it was offered to him to be the number 2 most powerful person on earth. Maybe it would be offered to him. Maybe he would reconsider. But he did say he's not interested in that. So,
yeah, if he's outright gone, if he cannot attain the presidency, then yes, it's possible. And I think he's great, man. I hope that he gets a prominent role. He deserves it. We need a voice like that. The Republicans need a voice like that.
The Republicans
and the Democrats need to hear it.
Yeah, the Democrats need to hear it big time. And nobody else is saying this type of stuff, finding the free money sitting out there in the campaign. But the Republicans need a deep bench of qualified pitchers. That you got your number 1 starting pitcher, your number 2, you got your ace. Then you got your 2, your 3, your 4. You got a bunch of 5s. So you got some people you could call up from the minor leagues. They got talent. Let's see what they can do on the next level. But who is carrying the MAGA torch? Oh, God, a tiki torch. Oh, my God, they wore khakis. It's so stupid. But, like, the theoretical torch, it's a turn of phrase, you goofballs. But who's carrying the MAGA torch behind Trump? I mean, I guess Vivek is there. Nobody else on that rhino GOP stage is even remotely close to it. They wouldn't let Larry Elder come close. He would have been a really nice voice there. But I mean, besides Trump and Vivek, who's on Team MAGA? Is it like who's even left? Kristi Noem? You got some of the people in Congress. You got a Gates
Lake
and a Lake and MGT. You got a few in Congress, sure, but like it's not a deep bench, and that's something that's a little concerning.
Not for the star talent. So I think that. But those are great candidates. Either Trump or Vivek, or Carrie Lake. There you go. I think those are 3 superstars, and any one of those. And I do like RFK Jr. I know he's not a Republican, but
No, he
another.
is not.
So
He is not.
if
Okay.
any of those four, I think that's a huge win for populism in America going forward.
No,
Non-establishment candidates.
only two of them are currently on the ballot, so we'll see how it shakes out. They said Megyn Kelly is going to host the next debate. How many more of these debates are there going to be? Can
Just
we
one. I think it's the fourth and final one.
Fourth and final?
It's
Okay.
going to be in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, co-hosted by News Nation, Washington Free Beacon, Megyn Kelly Show, and Rumble. So, yes, it's going to be Megyn Kelly. I don't know if the other moderators are named yet. I'd like to see, how about Lou Dobbs? Lou would be a good one. And then maybe, if they wanted to put Greg Gutfeld, I don't know. But this is a good one. Jesse Waters. But there's got to be some other hip, people, and I don't know all the other personalities.
Yeah.
But they could put together a good team.
Okay. Well,
we'll see. But yes, Vivek was absolutely right, though. Elon, Tucker, and Joe Rogan would be fantastic. That would
are
be
we going for ratings? Are we going for eyeballs, or are we not? My God.
And put it up. Get rid of Scott.
Ronna McDaniel not even trying to go that route is such an epic.
Yeah, and so now she's done. I don't know if Brian, did you freeze? Maybe. Well, if you did freeze, you wouldn't be able to hear me. I don't know. It looks like your internet is a little choppy right now.
I don't know what's happening. I appear to still be on.
There you go.
It says that the connection is lost and reconnecting. I don't know if that's me or not.
Welcome to my world. All right.
Here, let's play a stinker and see if this. Oh, did it play?
Yeah, I saw it.
Oh, I didn't see anything. Oh, it's going. Here, let me just do this, Blake. Give me a second. Tell people about where they can follow you and us.
Okay, well, you can follow us on Twitter. I am TV's Blake Walley, and Brian is American_media_. We'll give him a couple of minutes before he gets back. And, of course, you can always find the archive of the shows at thenextlevelnews.com. And you can follow Brian on all sorts of different things under different monikers of different variations of American media. Telegram, Facebook, YouTube.
Rumble.
Spotify, that's right. We got the podcast, the Agree to Disagree podcast. Please subscribe.
Yes, the new American media, because the old American media has failed you. Okay, next topic. Blake, I guess we are still in the debate questions here, because this is not particularly debate related. Anyway. Agree or disagree that it would be the end of the country if Trump is reelected? We got to see all the JV candidates yesterday for a third time. Oh, my gosh. Talk about off Broadway. But fine. Is it the end of the country if Trump is reelected?
Absolutely not. That is it's the end of the deep state, perhaps. That's actually a quote from Hillary Clinton. Which she is saying, because she had a hyperbolic interview the other day, and she was freaking out. Let's see if I can pull up a couple pieces of this article. It's out of the Federalist. Listening to Hillary Clinton spell out exactly what Democrats are doing to destroy the republic. She says she's concerned about those who would try to do away with elections and do away with oppositions and do away with the
you mean like Zelensky?
Yeah, exactly. Who I'm sure she would support 100% with all money and all troops, and it doesn't matter. She was on The View accusing Donald Trump for being responsible for all those things. And Clinton says means to throw people in jail who disagree with him, like trying to do to him. Shut down legitimate press outlets. Do what he can to literally undermine the rule of law and our country's values. Yeah, it's amazing. It's the projection. So throwing dissidents in jail, what, like the J6 people? What they're trying to do, they want to throw Trump in jail for forever, 100 and some years. Shutting down the press, undermining the rule of law. What else?
God, these generic turns of phrase, these generic undermining the insurrection, these people, like these tired tropes and accusations. My God, who slurps this junk up?
Oh, the idiots on that Watch the View. Of course, they made the comparison to good old Adolf. We won't mention his name because we're going to get flagged on Facebook, and they won't even look at the context. They'll just be like, "Oh my God, you guys mentioned he said that name. Banned."
Voldemort.
Yeah.
The man who shall not be named. I did that, and I could hear a dog bark next door. That was fun. Voldemort.
Right. So no, they yes, it'd be very, very bad for the deep state, for the neocons, for the old guard GOP and the DNC, who have to go if we want to have a functioning country. So no, it's not bad if he gets reelected. It's overdue, and they deserve it. They've been running this country into the ground, and it's time for some fresh faces and new ideas, like Vivek Ramaswamy. We'll maybe we could negotiate. No more Clinton, and no Michelle, no Biden, and no Trump. But then we got to have a Vivek and RFK Jr. I would compromise there.
No.
What do you think, Brian? If the DNC said, okay, no Clinton, no Michelle Obama, no Gavin Newsom, no Joe Biden,
no,
you can't have Trump.
No.
You can't have Vivek and Carrie Lake and RFK Jr. Would you take that deal?
No, there's no deal. No, you don't negotiate with people like this. And I'm glad you didn't say fresh blood with a picture of Hillary Clinton on the screen, because we all know the stories about her that we can't discuss, right?
Oh, yeah. She's into witchcraft. Yeah.
All sorts of things that we're not going to discuss.
Frazzle dazzle. Yeah.
Okay. Don't do it, Blake.
All right.
All right. But no deal. But
all right.
Yeah, destroy the republic. That's exactly what the dirty deep state Dems are trying to do. They're trying to destroy the republic. No thanks. There's no deals. There is no. What did they say about the vaccine? They want amnesty. They want forgiveness. Well, we were doing the best that we could with the information that we had. Forgive us. No amnesty. None. I mean, the stuff that was done to limit medical options, medical treatments, to demonize perfectly viable potential options that could have potentially treated things. No, there is no amnesty, and there are no deals. None. Yes, Unholy Hoax, The View is a disgusting program. Yeah, but they don't even have viewers. They're just held up. Like, who really watches the late night comedians? And I say that in air quotes because Jimmy Kimmel has become so unfunny and stale. It's pathetic.
And Colbert, yeah.
Oh, Colbert!
So
it's just I hate Trump for 90 minutes or however long their stupid show is.
And they were so good on Comedy Central, legends on Comedy Central. Especially Colbert as a correspondent on The Daily Show, and then Jimmy on The Man Show. Those were the days. And then they both became a little too big and mainstream, and now they are just flaming propagandists, shells of themselves, total sellouts. I think both of them may have been on a certain island in the Bahamas with a certain Jeffrey.
All right, we're going there.
Okay.
When are we going to get that list? All right, well, good. How about that? How about I was going to do this next story, but let's shift to this one. If we're going to talk about lists and we're going to talk about releasing information, okay, I think we got our segue.
All right.
So obviously something amazing happened a couple of days ago. One of the biggest names in media who Blake cannot stand, Steven Crowder, he was able to get information released about the Nashville.
He's able to get, get information released, which is fine. Sometimes that's how you got to get things done.
Yeah, sometimes you'll find a missing dog if you put $100. Reward offered. I found your dog. It's like,
Yeah.
but this dog has 4 legs or 5 legs. Well, I don't know. It looks similar, right? That's not really my cat, is it? I mean, it's sort of the same. Just it's your cat. Don't overthink it. Yeah, but it purrs different. It walks different. It's hissing at me. I don't think this is the same. It looked like picture. It looked like picture. Give me reward. Give reward. Anyway, but okay, so Steven Crowder was able to get this released, the Nashville Nut Job, at least a couple of pages of it. I mean, I guess if we want to go into the ramblings of a lunatic, let's get all of it released. But I mean, we have a right to understand what's going on in the world. And the FBI hiding this and covering this up, this anti-white hatred, this is reared its ugly head once again. This has been fueled by the deep state Democrats, the lying legacy media, and the propagandists in your school indoctrination systems, cranking out kids that hate themselves to the point where they want to chop off their body parts and take pills to try to become something that they can never become because they hate themselves. This white lady that hates herself so much that she goes after crackers. I mean, like, what is involved with the self-loathing where you're going to attack your own kind? It's something worth noting. It's a very important story, and they were hiding it. The FBI did not want to hear what happened. And Karine Jean-Pierre, when she was asked about it, oh man, did she quickly turn the topic? Oh, did she quickly, instead of talking about the victims who were gunned down by this Nashville nut job, she wanted to talk about the trans people who were under attack. It's like, oh, you vile human. So I am greatly appreciative of what occurred when this was released. But now there are Nashville cops who are under assault, Blake. A number of them have now been put on administrative leave. Agree or disagree that Nashville cops deserve to be fired for leaking the Nashville Nut Jobs manifesto?
No, disagree strongly. That never should have had to happen this way. This should have been released a long time ago, and none of these cops would be in that position. But the public has a right to know. And apparently there was money exchanged enough to make it worthwhile for them to attempt this leak. But it was sad that rather than, worry about the manifesto and whatever, they said they want to go after the cops for leaking this. So right now we've got 7 Nashville police officers suspended amidst the investigation into the leaked manifesto of racist trans murderer Audrey Hale.
By the way, the little pinwheel up top that you have on the screen there, I wonder if that's like that pinwheel from the 1930s. And then you just kind of color it differently and turn it into like a stop sign. It looks very similar. Okay, go ahead. Just seeing that got me thinking.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Can be recalled, Nashville police told Fox News late April they would finally release the manifesto, the trans shooter that they recovered from her car following the attack on March 27th. And so here we are over 7 months later. But again, the release manifesto was delayed again in May, and there's no excuse for it. They're holding on to it intentionally. The public has a right to know, and they haven't. So, good for Crowder and these cops for releasing this information. However, it needed to happen, and it's only a few pages, as we said. So there should be a lot more to it, and we should understand the psychology, how this happened, and try to prevent it and heal the country. You can't just hide this stuff.
Because I think this type of rhetoric from Barack Hussein Obama, from the lying legacy media, from the school indoctrinators, from the Democrat Party, man, they are pushing this exact type of ramblings that you see on these pages, and it's leading to really bad stuff. It has a repercussive effect throughout society. And maybe that's why the FBI was trying so damn hard to hide it, because there's a certain protected class in this country. And there's only, there used to be only one group you could make fun of, and they said it was fat people. That's not the case anymore. Now that's called body shaming, like Anna Kasparian did to Alex Jones when we filmed that at the RNC, of course. But it's white people. It's white men, especially. That's the only group that can be just constantly denigrated. And that you had this lady, this Nashville nut job. She hated herself so much she didn't want to be a woman anymore, and she went after white people. She is white. She is a woman, but she hates herself on every level. What type of stuff is she consuming to make her so hateful? And how dangerous is this across the country? We better address this. We better talk about this.
Yeah, I wonder what she mentioned, like names or something. Maybe she actually did. Wouldn't that be bombshell if she got her news from The View?
Oh.
You know, I listened to Joy Behar and she made this great point. And then I turned on MSNBC and I saw Joy Reid saying something like this. I mean, who knows? And I watched Rachel Maddow, and then I was like, yeah, those crackers got to die. I have no idea, but we should know. But apparently they're freaking out about it. And even when it was leaked and it was verified as legit, you still had, Facebook and Google, YouTube censoring this stuff. So what don't they want us to see? That's a good question, because we've only seen a fraction of it. But even with the stuff that's legit, they still try to censor people from seeing it. So yeah, we need to wake up our people, man. I want to see a lot of the liberals I grew up with get a different side of the news and have it shoved in their face. If they have to, it's for their own good. They've been radicalized. Yeah.
They have been very radicalized and brainwashed, really abused. I saw where there was Joe Biden talking to doing some press release thing, and they said this is what Biden was saying the day of the shooting, or the week leading up to it, or something like that. I don't have it in front of me, but remember, they've been pushing this like they're coming after you. They're trying to create a trans genocide. Like they're like causing brain damage to people. Like they are intentionally trying to make them freak out. Like, oh my God, they're trying to genocide me. It's like, no, we want you to get help. We love you. Like, we don't want you to hate yourself. It's like, if you like whatever you're into, you don't have to chop your parts off to like still be into that thing. Go be into that thing. Nobody cares. Just keep the dudes out of the girls' locker rooms. Like, it's not complicated here. Like, well, I am a girl. Okay, man, cool. But like, let the girls. God, we saw that. I don't know if we played this, but it was a co-ed soccer team, I believe. And there was a dude playing as a girl, or maybe it was just a girls' league, and he identified. He kicked her teeth out, exploded her teeth out.
Jeez.
Screeching and screaming. It's like, oh my God, keep the men away from the women. There's a reason they're separated. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster, they're meaner. I mean, maybe not meaner, but like, my God. I mean, just her teeth exploded out of her skull. Like, we don't want to see people get harmed. That's not trying to commit genocide. That's trying to be normal. That's trying to be protective. That's trying to be helpful. That's trying to like balance things in society. We don't want some dude going and taking the women's swimming trophies away from Riley Gaines. Come on, man. You're built different. You are different. Like, we have to be able to have a conversation about this without these idiots on the left saying they want your genocide. Like, we don't care what you do. Just stop trying to warp the brains of kids and twist them. You're not going to chop parts off of them. You're not going to pump them full of medication without telling the parents. And we're not going to say this is okay. We want these people to get help. We want you to be comfortable in your skin with who you are. You're allowed to be who you are. But there's a couple of parameters we kind of have to dance around here. Like, we just have to reach an agreement where dudes are not going to get in an MMA cage with a girl and crack their skull like we saw with Fallon Fox. These are common sense things.
Yeah.
Genocide. But they keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And then you get a nut job like this. She's like, well, if they're coming after me, I better go after them. Those damn crackers. It's like, oh, God, this didn't have to happen. This rhetoric is terrible coming from the left.
Yeah, sure is, and needs to stop, and that's why they're apparently hiding it. That's the only thing I can think of. So they don't want to see how, the radicalized propaganda that they're buying into, and it's making them violent towards their fellow citizens.
Yeah.
Even towards, like, just children and school teachers. What a coward.
I mean,
Sick.
Yeah, it's all sick. Whether you're going after kids in a school, festival attendees at a music show, at a concert, like
Ooh, that's coming up. We got an interesting twist on that story.
all right,
Before
we'll
we
get
get
to
to
that. All right, 2 more stories. We will
Yeah.
make a pivot. We're done with this one, right? Other than, do we know who's running the show in Nashville? Are we calling for their resignation? Is there an uprising against why were you hiding this? Why are you trying to prevent us from knowing just how bad this radical indoctrination is getting? Like, this is an urgent issue. What are you trying to hide, FBI? What are you trying to hide, Nashville? Not the
Right.
mayor, the Nashville sheriff, or whoever's calling the shots here.
Well, the FBI is about to get rewarded, so maybe we can just do a quick lightning round on that particular subject because there's not much to it.
Blah.
Interesting to see. With
Oh, what was that? So they ran out the clock on the manifesto. Who said that?
Dreamer Ultra, yeah, they managed the news cycle. Yeah, that's what they've been doing, and they were just gonna like keep it, hide it forever. So finally, the cops released it. However, it needed to happen, but that was in the public's right to know. So
Damn
now
right.
they're gonna try to punish the cops. So
They need to
ridiculous.
punish this sheriff. Seriously, there needs to be a recall. If Nashville's a normal city, they have.
I'd say blame the FBI. Why don't we blame the FBI? That's who's doing it. They're probably going to take the jurisdiction on that. It's probably, I don't know if it's the TBI or the FBI, as Tennessee Bureau, but they should be held accountable for that. But they're actually going to get rewarded. So where was that? Okay, here we go. This is pull up this story here quick. This was a surprise.
Yeah, were the Republicans right to vote for $300 million for a new FBI headquarters bill?
Well, I guess House Republicans have voted to reward the FBI with the new HQ. Heavily armed FBI SWAT teams hunt J6 protesters. Let's see. So on Wednesday, yesterday, 70 House Republicans voted to reward Chris Wray's FBI new $300 million. It's bigger than the Pentagon. And that comes after, years of FBI SWAT team raids on over 1,000 Trump supporters for January 6th. At least 80% of these FBI investigations, stalking, plotting, and arrests were for nonviolent crimes like standing outside the Capitol. FBI has also targeted Catholics, Christians, parents at school board meetings, journalists, and President Trump. They even made a movie about it. It's a new one with Dinesh D'Souza. Here's the list of all of the Republicans, the neocon rhino sellouts that have compromised to make this deal.
Are there any good names in there? Anybody that surprised you?
Let me take a look. Don Bacon. No, he was in the news not for something good. No, he's always been a rhino. I'm trying to think. I'm scanning through here. I didn't actually take a look at the list, but I am looking at it now because there are hundreds of them, and I don't know all of their
Don't
names.
scroll so fast. Let me make sure I'm catching these.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bunch of.
I have not seen one. Pete Sessions. I don't know if he's any good. I know the
Hey,
name.
there's Patrick McHenry.
Oh, but he's a neocon too. He was, that isn't surprising. He's an establishment hack. Smack. I don't. Yeah, it's not really any surprise names to me that I know of. I don't know all these names though. So, but Matt Gaetz was calling it out. Why are we doing? Yeah, they need to flush the FBI and get rid of the leadership. Get rid of Christopher Wray.
Is that
get to the
a video you want to play?
Oh, we can try it. I actually haven't even looked at it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The FBI wants a massive new complex for their Washington, D.C. area-based activities. They want to spend more than $300 million on that complex. Though the FBI has an employee base that's about 2.3% of the United States military, Mr. Speaker, they're literally asking for something that is larger than the Pentagon for the FBI. And so my amendment would disallow any planning, spending, distribution of funds for that purpose. I don't believe that the FBI deserves a massive new headquarters or Washington field office. The activities inside of Washington, the greater Washington metro area, have really driven a lot of the investigative work we have done. It's not bad folks from the FBI out at some field office in middle America or elsewhere in the country. It is the Washington, D.C. based activities that have pressured other field offices for no good law enforcement reason. It's the D.C. based entities that have suppressed credible investigative leads into criminal conduct over the objections of other bureaus and offices. And they've initiated investigations into American citizens merely for engaging in constitutionally protected speech. They've attempted to entrap members of the United States Senate by holding false classified briefings. That's testimony we got from Senators Grassley and Senator Johnson. They've also worked hard to censor factual information harmful to their preferred political candidates, notably the Hunter Biden laptop story that the FBI based in the D.C. metro area were involved in cajoling censorship of. Building a new headquarters would condone, reinforce, and enable the Washington field office of the Federal Bureau of Investigation's nefarious behavior. We shouldn't do it, and we should adopt this amendment to ensure that's the case.
Okay. Great stuff, again, by Matt Gaetz. And I agree. There's no way they should be rewarded with this. I would love to celebrate the FBI again if they were on our side, but they're not. They've been compromised, and they've been weaponized against the regular patriotic Americana. So, no way. $300 million. Bigger than the Pentagon? No. Absolutely insane.
So they're doing it anyway. That's a done deal or what?
I don't think so, but it's just 70 of them have voted for it. So, no. And if there is a deal, then that needs to stop. There needs to be big protests, and there needs to be accountability at the FBI.
Wasn't there a big conversation about getting that out of D.C. to kind of get the politics out of this? Because it's been weaponized. When Obama came in, I guess, it's always been happening, but everything got so much worse under Obama. And
yeah, that's just the nerve center there. It's going to be held in Maryland, Virginia, or DC. I don't think there'd be any reason to move it anywhere else. We're talking about Texas or Alabama, like deep red conservative, but it's not going to happen.
Why?
And it shouldn't.
It needs to get out.
It's got to be local. No, it's got to be local to DC, and they've got to be there to speak in front of Congress or what have you. That makes more sense to have the main office there. But no, $300 million bigger than the Pentagon. No, forget it.
But it's getting.
Come on, Brian. They're not going to move the FBI to the Alabama or East Texas or something. It's ridiculous.
I don't think it's
like putting it in a red state is all of a sudden going to make it better. No.
I think it's become too politicized, and I think there needs to be a separation there, at least a physical separation.
We'll see.
We can agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree, yes.
All right. Well,
one more story?
We'll keep our eyes peeled on that one and try to track it. All right, final story. All right, Blake, agree or disagree that the Israeli music festival massacre was done by friendly fire?
You know what? I'm just going to agree with that. It's suspicious, and there's some interesting new information that causes me to perhaps change my mind on this. So I will pull up.
That's quite the stunning accusation. Let's hear it.
It certainly is, but it makes sense when you look at some of the damage that was caused, and we really haven't gotten a lot of video footage of this horrific attack. And I just want to make sure that I condemn Hamas and whatever they pulled off that day on October 7th. But here we go. Breaking: Israel admits that Apache helicopters fired on their own civilians running from the Supernova Music Festival. Pilots realized that there was tremendous difficulty in distinguishing within the occupied outposts and settlements who was a terrorist and who was a soldier or a civilian. The rate of fire against the thousands of terrorists was tremendous at first, and only at a certain point did the pilots begin to slow down the attacks and carefully select the targets. And they showed all of these cars. So I know you've probably seen these images before, and you're wondering, does Hamas have weaponry capable of inflicting this kind of damage on all of the vehicles out there. And so now this is being put out there and it's credible from good sources, not just necessarily Syrian Girl, but from Max Blumenthal, which I will pull up, wondering how so many cars got so destroyed that badly. Here's the images of the people that were burned inside their cars. Obviously, a gun does not make this damage, but an Israeli Apache helicopter could. Israel showed these images to journalists to justify, now she's biased, of course, but she's saying the genocide in Gaza. And a reserve pilot in the same unit described the fog of confusion because they weren't sure what to shoot at. And there's more footage from the Israel helicopters shooting at cars. And the Apache pilots are testified that they fired a huge amount of munitions, basically emptied the belly of the helicopter, flew to rearm, and then returned to the air again and again. And they have drone footage from the scene from the music festival, shows the damaged cars before they were rearranged by the IDF. Okay, I can't get some of these videos to play well. But let's pull up another story. She links to this, the Middle East Monitor. Report the 7 October testimonies strike major blow to the Israeli narrative. I won't get into too much, but to pull up from a great investigative journalist, Max Blumenthal, who was the first to break this. This is actually from October 27th. Reveal Israel military shelling Israeli citizens with tanks and missiles. So how many people burned alive were actually killed by friendly fire? And they've got this Tuval Escapa, if I'm pronouncing that right, probably not, member of the security team for the kibbutz Be'eri, set up a hotline to coordinate between the residents and the Israeli army. He told the Israeli newspaper Haaretz that his desperation began to set in, that the commanders in the field made difficult decisions, including shelling houses on their occupants in order to eliminate the terrorists along with the hostages. So it's just kind of like indiscriminate, just firing on everybody, whether they were terrorists, soldiers, residents, concert goers. And you see the destruction, and it seems unlikely that it was caused by small arms fire or, AK-47s. I mean, what kind of weaponry does Hamas actually have there in Gaza when you can't really get anything in or out? So is it possible that these bodies get burned beyond recognition? Was it done by something else? Obviously, something more powerful than Gaza would have. So I don't know, but I'm starting to wonder about this entire attack and whether it was set up from the beginning to protect Netanyahu and to target his political opposition.
Well, to be fair, you're not starting to wonder. You've wondered from.
No, I'm always suspicious of Netanyahu. All right, fair enough.
All right. Thank you. If you're gonna report, let's just be fair about it. And when I'm looking at those images, Blake, I can't help but conflate what I'm looking at there, which is horrific, and what I saw in Lahaina. Just burned, everything burned.
Yeah, like beyond like what normal burning would happen. Like just like it was done by direct energy weapons. And I don't know about that. But the devastation looks far beyond what you would see in a regular fire.
All right. Well,
yeah.
So, in fog of war. I mean, that's the Pat Tillman story, right? He was heralded as this hero he played with the football in the NFL with the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
And everything with the NFL was about Pat Tillman. And he died as a hero over there. And he was killed by friendly fire. That was not reported. That was Nashville. They tried to throw that down the memory hole. They didn't want people to know that. It's bad for recruiting. What's good for recruiting is, wow, look at this hero. He left millions of dollars to go fight for his country. And when the story is like, hey, don't you want to give up your life so you can get shot by your own people? It's like, oh, no. That doesn't recruit as well, does it? Doesn't have the same ring to it.
Yeah, exactly. And supposedly he was calling out the BS. Yeah, he left his contract, left the NFL. gave up everything, a true American hero, and then he gets over there and realizes it's just all a big racket, and they're being used as pawns. And so they basically set him up to take him down. And then they twisted it to make it look like, it was done by the enemy, and then they could recruit more people. But he was trying to warn people not to get more involved.
So
allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Or so they would have us believe, whoever they are.
Yeah, military industrial complex, and it's this sickening. As Vivek, we'll go back full circle again to Vivek Ramaswamy. Let's actually pull up a quote. I know I did write something down now that we mentioned that about how the neocons they create these wars and they enrich themselves. They make millions of dollars off all the destruction, and while they send our people out there to die. So it's sad, and these people have to go, and there's no more. The neocons need to go the way of the dinosaurs.
The neocons, yeah, it really is a gasping. You can hear them clinging, trying to maintain relevance, but the world has passed them by. They do not have support. There is no vast support to be Team America World Police. There is no appetite for this stuff. It really was the run of the mill. It was the standard for how many decades, how many administrations. It was just a rubber stamp. But I think the internet has made everything feel a lot closer. There used to be headlines you'd read about, Gaza or Afghanistan or Ukraine or Iraq or Hawaii. You're like, it's here you go again. You'd see it on TV, a couple of still images or whatever they want you to see. Like, oh, okay, wow, all right. Anyway, but now it's like it's in your hand, it's in your phone, it's in your face all day, and all this stuff just seems way too connected, way too intertwined. The string is twisted into the fabric is combined into a blanket. You really can't pull any one piece apart. It's all connected. I don't know. Maybe that's part of the reason why the neocon philosophy is just falling so flat these days.
Well, they need to separate. I think that was a big swing last night for that cause. He's going to separate the modern MAGA Republicans from the neocons, because they will spend trillions of dollars in debt while they personally reward themselves through military contracts and send thousands of men to die that don't advance anyone's interests.
Right.
Yeah, and of course, they mentioned the Biden's bribes with Ukraine, and that why are you going to vote for Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels? Both of them. So that's what it came down to.
God, what a lie.
And then notice how neither one of them responded.
Oh, they were stunned into silence.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anywho, that's all we got for today's show. Any final words, Blake? Any
No, that was great. Got it all in the right time span. Yes, perfect. Well done.
Perfect.
Great to be here. Yay.
I feel like we've kind of honed this in. We've kind of got it down. We're kind of chugging along here. Sometimes it works perfect. Today was one of those days, I think. So, okay, cool. Tell people where to find you once again on your way out the door, sir.
TV's Blake Walley on Twitter, X, and of course the archive is also at the nextlevelnews.com.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. Yeah.
And you can do a search for the Agree to Disagree show on all the platforms and the New American Media on all the platforms. Please do that so we can stay connected and cover the news. If you're on Twitter X, tag Blake or I. On Twitter, the New American Media is at American_media_. Blake, of course, TV's Blake Walley. But yeah, we're kind of starting to build up a private group over there, and we want to kind of keep the conversations going in between our live shows. I think there's a nice kernel of like, are you starting to see the vision of that private group, Blake, that it could kind of really connect the shows in between our live shows, just kind of keep the crew together?
Yeah, no, it's all good. Yeah, we can keep driving the content behind the scenes, so it's all good. We all kind of work as a greater team.
Absolutely.
The extension, yes.
Because the
these guys drive the news. Yeah.
Has failed. Oh yeah, Yeah, nobody else is going to do it. We can't trust any of them. We can trust them to lie and propagandize us, but can't trust them for much else. Okay, so signing out for everybody here in the TNAM universe. We appreciate you. We love you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Peace.